and she, of course, remained incredibly close to Annie Sullivan until Annie died, I think, I think it was like 1936 or something. So there's so much that occurred to me, but I think maybe, I have my own observations that just, I was floored again by not just by Mom's performance, but William Gibson was the writer who adapted I think it was Helen's anecdotes into a play and then the play into the screenplay. But yeah, his work and just the drama, the nature of drama in the late 50s, early 60s is just so different. They're so willing to just let you sit with them in a place and watch the emotions develop. And now everything's so fast. You ride an audience into an emotion and then you carry them away from it. And it just this movie just lets you sit there and see what they're looking at. And that mother, gosh, she sets the whole tone with just her anguish. So I could go on for hours like that, but we should find out what you guys want to talk about.
Should we open it up to some young people first? So if there are any questions or comments from anybody in the audience, I'll bring a microphone up.
Anything at all. One of the things that I asked my mom if she met Helen Keller, and I knew she had, but I wanted to know the particular circumstances, and I think my mom said it was in 68, I think she said, is when she met her. I could be wrong on the numbers, but anyhow, she went to meet her. She was very young. She was probably Allie's age, and it was at Helen's house I want to say it was in Connecticut. But wherever it was, anyway, they went there, and it was a very comfortable home, and then the yard out back was a big yard, the way my mom described it, with kind of woods that she could walk into, and she had like a string that she could, follow along with. So my mom said the thing that, she'd played her on Broadway, she'd done all this stuff, it was like she had lived inside of this woman's skin, and now she was meeting her for the first time, and she described the first meeting was that Helen came down the stairway to meet her, and she said, and she's 80 years old at this point. And my mom said it was like she was floating down the stairs. This kind of very graceful, effortless, coming down the stairs. And she didn't know that there was this little string that she could touch that guided her. But that, so that, and then they went out into the yard, and I guess there was always people around, there's people who looked after Helen, and there were people who looked after my mom, but they were, Helen asked them to let them be a little bit. So my mom spent like 4.5 hours with her, and she said, the things they talked about were, simple and fun and easy, and then some things were more, substantive. But she said when they were coming back, that the clothes had been put out on the line, because it was, I don't know, whatever time of year it was, but they were drying on the line, and they came up to it, and my mom said she was just sort of overwhelmed with the size of Helen's bra. And she said that as they started to walk through it, Helen spelled out for her, and she was very nice. Mom said she was very nice to spell using the language you see there, kind of sign language in the hand, making letters in the hand. But obviously the technology advanced immensely since the time that the play is set. So, but that's all my mom knew. So my mom said that Helen was so gracious to kind of talk old-fashioned with her. But she said she spelled out, "Is that my brassiere?" And then she just said they gave each other this big hug and laughed a lot. So there are certain things that no matter how big they get in terms of ideas, or the movie won, I think that it won like 8 Oscars. I know my mom won an Oscar, and Anne Sullivan, Anne Bancroft won an Oscar, but what I notice when I hang around people like who have this kind of success, or I don't even know how to describe what the right word is, but is that there's a lot of real basic, feet on the ground, normal things you talk about, and something like a bra, or something like sometimes, one of the things I wonder about, and I see there's a lot of young people, do any of you guys think about acting ever, or being in movies, or making movies? You think about that sometimes? Yeah? Do you think about that? One of the things I've been wondering about, up there too, I had a feeling a lot of the people who come out to film festivals are folks who want to be involved, and there's no better way to just, let yourself get excited about stuff than festivals. So, because you start to learn the language that, people you might want to work with speak. But I was asking my mom, I said, you know, Mom, if there's young actors out there, young people who are interested in performing, how did he talk to you? How did Arthur Penn, the director, talk to you? Because you see these, you know, stories of the director, you know, and action, you know, and they kind of yell and stuff. She said he barely ever spoke above a whisper. And his comments were always very subtle. I said, well, was he encouraging, or did he sort of look, you know, did he disapprove of anything that you were doing? She said no, because, you know, part of it is she brought so much to the table in terms of the way her managers, who she had a very hard, kind of mostly awful relationship with, but they prepared her incredibly well for this part. And so she showed up with a kind of terror of doing the wrong thing, and always wanted to do the right thing. But she said that moment at the end, I'm so reticent to share this right after you see it, but she told me, and I guess I should tell you, she said she was having some trouble with the physicality. This is early on, before the play was really up and running, with the physicality of that moment, that wah-wah moment, and just with the sound of it, and just not being embarrassed, but just not knowing how to do it. And she said that this, you know, world-renowned theater director, who, you know, everyone was in awe of, came and sat down with her on the stage and said, now, Anna, have you ever been constipated? She said, you know, the color just went out of her face, and she was mortified that a grown-up was talking to her about that. But he said, that's where it's coming from. It's coming from the bowels of who you are. You know what I mean? And so she said that she was scared that if he was watching, the next time she did that he would know that that's what she was thinking about. So. And I had those feelings a lot when I was a kid, when I was working as a kid actor, was wondering what the person would be thinking about afterwards. But anyway, I said, well, is that it? So every time you ever did that, I mean, in the movie, that's what you were thinking about, was being constipated, this Oscar-winning moment, you know? She said no. She said, remember, it was over the course of 2 years, this play. And she said, and I was growing, I was maturing. And she said it moved, for me, more from the mechanics of doing it, not just that, but the whole play and everything about it, to a kind of spiritual level, a level that was realizing that you're, and I'm sort of putting words in her mouth now, but I know what she meant, and that's that you're a vessel. You know, you are like, you're transmitting this other experience that happened to somebody else to others, so that they might be able to, for a moment, experience the power of the emotion of that thing. And that's, you know, I mean, it's an amazing thing we just saw. It's really, really beautiful. I mean, I was, you know, it's particularly because I went and Googled Helen Keller, and I wanted to actually look at some of the things she did. Wait, I want to read something about what this lady did. Ow. There were some quotes, too, I saw. One of them is, although the world is full of suffering, it is full also of the overcoming of it. She said something about college, too, that I better not read, because college is not the place to go for ideas or something like that. I'm not saying that in Notre Dame.
Turn off the mic.
It says, during her lifetime, Helen Keller received awards of great distinction, too numerous to recount fully here. An entire room called the Helen Keller Activities at the American Foundation for the Blind in New York City is devoted to their preservation. These awards include Brazil's Order of the Southern Cross, Japan's Sacred Treasure, the Philippines' Golden Heart, Lebanon's Golden Medal of Merit, and her own country's highest honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Most of these awards were bestowed on her in recognition of the stimulation her example and presence gave to work for the blind in those countries. In 1933, she was elected to membership in the National Institute of Arts and Letters. During the Louise Braille Centennial commemoration of 1952, Miss Keller was made a Chevalier of the French Legion of Honor at the ceremony at the Sorbonne. On the 50th anniversary of her graduation, because she went to Radcliffe, couldn't see, couldn't hear, couldn't talk. Graduated from Radcliffe. Anyway, just something worth pointing out. She got an Alumni Achievement Award. Her alma mater also showed its pride by dedicating the Helen Keller Garden in her honor by naming the fountain in the garden for Anne Sullivan Macy. She also, it goes on and on and on, but one of the things I'm just scrolling down.